Alright, so we're going to step through and convert this 4x3 profile to a 16:9. So there's going to be a lot of things to change. So I've created a notepad here because I might not do all these things right now, because the video file would probably be 1 or 2 or 3 hours long, because I'm tweak things to perfection, and I would be pixel pushing around, which I think is kind of boring. I could time lapse it, but I think that's one of the main things to realize, is that the real work goes into building the assets. You know, the little bits that you want to happen in scenes and sources that can take a long time to get perfect. You know, there's one streamer that I know, Dr. Disrespect, spends a massive amount of time on granular details, like his scenes of being in the gym or being outside the $475 million facility, as he calls it. Those assets, those animations, those 3D looks, those scenes, you know, they have like images at the front, in the middle, and behind, so it's all like layered up. They take a long time. That's where the work is. Actually learning how to fly OBS is relatively straightforward. Alright, let's take this from 4x3. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a copy of this. So I'm going to duplicate this, and instead I'm going to call it 16:9. Right? So I'm now working on the copy of this. I also need to do a scene collection copy as well. So if I do duplicate again and do 16:9, then just double check, yeah, I'm using 16:9, and yes, I'm using 16:9 on this one. That means if I make any changes, that it's not going to be on the other one. So I'll show what I mean by that. If I go into settings, I'm going to change the output video. Sorry, we're going to video. We're going to change the base canvas to HD, so 1920 by 1080 and 1920 by 1080. I'm going to change this down to 30 frames a second because my computer's old and probably won't handle it the higher up resolution I go. The 1000 by 1000 is not too bad, but higher up you go, the more pixels you're pushing, and my machine is very old. So I'm going to apply, and now we have the stage that we want, right, which is the 16:9 perspective, which is kind of looks stretched, but it's like horizontal rather than a square, right? Horizontal, that doesn't make sense, but you kind of know what I'm on about, hopefully. If I switch back to profile 4x3, you'll notice that it jumps back to the 4x3 profile. It's a good idea to check to make sure that that's done that. Alright, so that's the basic setting we need to do for having it in 16:9 rather than square. It's kind of rectangle. That's the word I was looking for earlier. Alright, so I'm good with that. Now I'm going to step through all the scenes, and the first thing you're going to realize is that your intro is nowhere now. It's 1000 pixels by 1000 pixels. I made sure I did the sizing of it. So we have a problem in that all the intros need to be done. So in my notes it'll be like convert intros from 1000 by 1000 to 1920 by 1080. And at this point, brand new animations. At this point, I can get a lot more value out of this, because obviously that's how big it was before. I effectively have got all this extra space that I can do something with. Instead of just moving this into the middle and keeping the same color, I can do a lot more with intros, so I can spend a bit of time doing that. The next thing is going to be layouts. All the layouts are going to need to change. So we'll concentrate on one of those in a minute, and we'll step through and fix one up. We'll start with Steam Glider, and we'll make it better. So I've got to change all master scenes, and I'm going to put stretched to 1920 by 1080. So that's another thing I've got to do. And then I've got to do the end socials, which is the same as the starts. Convert all outros. Quite simple, really. If you look at that, there's 3 things, 1, 2, 3. I like to have a little bit of conformity there. And then the mic and camera is not going to make any difference. I mean, yes, the mic and camera is just in the middle of nowhere right now, but that doesn't matter, because in the layout it's going to be in the middle of the layout. You can see this background animation is actually wider than the 1000 by 1000. You just don't see that when I have the stage at 4x3. It just literally cuts that off. So then I need to do the intros and the end socials. Let's have a look at the assets. What do I need to do with the assets? Well, with the assets, all I really need to do is to move these into the middle. just to be nice and neat and tidy, really. Glider palette doesn't really matter. Steam logo doesn't matter. These ones should be alright. You know, I've got this extra space to do stuff with if I want to. But pretty much, because of the way I've built this, these don't really matter. These are just scenes. I can make this bigger with the palettes. I don't need to, but maybe I'll zoom up the Steam Monsters logo a little bit. But you know, I don't need to. I could change all these colors as well. Let's move all these across. Let's get this to here and these to here. You know, I could zoom those up later, but it doesn't really matter. This is just so that you can go through and pick the color and find out what color hex that is. I've just included those in if you want to rapidly prototype your own kind of scene layout. Alright, so let's go back to the show layout and let's step through this, how I'm going to fix this. I'm going to do this manually for each one because I could do like copy and paste, but actually it's just not going to take me that much time to do. So the QR code can be bigger. So the first thing I want to do is I want to find that bottom bar, which is this one. I'm going to unlock that bottom bar, and if I stretch it out, it's just going to make it bigger off screen. So I'm going to stretch it out as far as I can, and then I'm going to move it up, and then I'm going to use the Alt key to actually bring it into perspective with the 16:9 shot. So this background shot, there's a couple of ways I can go about this. Actually, now that I have this additional space, it's got me thinking maybe I can put a little block here on the right hand side instead of it. This is one of the things about having an additional space, is that you can start to think about how you want to style that. And I'm thinking that maybe I want to add this space as a video block, which would be kind of nice. So I'm going to lock this off. I'm going to extend this piece out, I think. So I'm going to grab the end of this. I kind of like the idea. Of keeping this perspective and having almost like a block there. So maybe I just have this out to the end like this. Where's the top of that video file? About there, I think. I kind of like the idea of main, because then I don't have to play around with the image shot because it's literally in the middle. So then let's grab the animated background. So where are we in terms of the backgrounds? Not this, not this, not this. Traveling, it's this one, isn't it? So let's unlock this. We can take that up a bit. Okay. Now I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this area yet, but I'm thinking that I might either extend this across. I'm just thinking of what it will look like on YouTube or another channel to be able to have this additional space. So I'm thinking, first things first, let's move this text. So let's unlock this text, put that text over there for a second, and then we'll take the divider, we'll unlock that and move the divider out of the way. Then the QR code will unlock and we'll just make this bigger. This is one of the wonderful things about having more real estate on screen for 16:9, is that things like the QR code will be easy to scan. Then I'm going to lock that back again. I'm going to put the divider back in here. And I'm thinking that maybe if I zoom this up, because this font is kind of blocky, it's good for 1000 pixels across, but it's not very good if I wanted to add stuff all the way. Let me have a quick look on, because we have all this real estate now. So maybe I'm just going to have 2 lines like this. Just putting enough text for 2 lines and then wrapping for the next line. So we've got a lot of space to be able to do stuff with now. So I'm only keeping it like this, but eventually I might change this to actually be an animation that just cycles around, or a call to action. But I'm really feeling this right area here, so I might do something with this, like a notepad, or maybe my desktop or something. Maybe I show my desktop here. Maybe we add in a video capture, window capture, display capture. I don't even know if we can do this on this version. No, looks like we've got a problem with the This is something that you will come across in OBS. It'll want to do certain things. Screen recording. OBS is ticked, so I think it's a bug in this version of Catalina OBS, is that at the moment there's no properties on this for the Windows capture, so that makes it a bit of a problem. So the alternative to that is maybe I fire up something like Opera, shrink this down, and then I'm going to do plus window capture, and I'm going to call it Opera. And then I'm going to have a look for that window. I'm going to click on this show windows with empty names, because sometimes if you don't have like something, a URL loaded into the browser, then it won't show it in this list. So I'm going to scroll down here. Where is Opera in this? Might not be showing it because because I don't actually have it on the screen. I wonder if I have... This is the thing about having a second screen as well, by the way. Let me just have this on the screen somewhere. Let's put it over here. See if we see it now. Don't see it. Maybe take this off. Let me cancel out of this. Go back in. Window. Doesn't see OBS. Opera. Let me see if it... There you go. We can see it now. Now, which one is it? It's not showing me what I expected to see, which is kind of weird. Yeah, it's not showing me what I wanted to see. But you get the idea of what I'm trying to do here. I think this is just because of the Mac OS Catalina. I've got an issue with it. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build in the ability to see my desktop. Now, if I've got a second screen and OBS was playing nicely, then I'd be able to just capture the second screen, just have a browser running on there and actually walk people through it while I'm talking, and then have another setting over here like number 4 or something to get rid of everything on the screen and take me just through to that desktop. So I think I'm going to do that. I think not now, but I think I'm going to do that at some point, is to build that in so people can see the preview. Also, I could probably have like a nice little notepad here as well. Alright, so I'm going to just move over this Steam glider text, just so it's not flush with the edge, because that way it will like run across. Kind of tempted to have the blue go all the way across and then have the second screen in here, but I kind of dig the idea of having like this space as a notepad or as text to do stuff for live. I could get a bit more value at it for that. Alright, so I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with that for now. I'm going to lock all these channels that I've done, and then I'm also going to go into the other ones and start doing them the same way. So we're going to grab that and move that to the edge of there. I'm going to grab the blue bar, the bottom blue bar, unlock that. We're going to stretch that all the way out. I'm just going to move it up so I can see the edge of it. Use the Alt key to grab the top of it, just to try and get it into sync. And then now I've got a lot more ability with this text. So this topic, I can extend it all the way out. I'm just going to take a copy of this and put it onto the second line. Also, I'm going to show you something as well that you might want to use. I should lock that background blue, actually, so that I can't move it, because that's pretty much where I want it to be. With this text, you can also, instead of it just being text you type in here, if you look down the bottom here, you've got a tick box that says read from file. You can actually make a text file on your machine and link to that, and then all you have to do is update the text in the text file rather than to mess around in OBS at all. If you're kind of nervous of clicking on the wrong thing or hiding something or dragging something, it might be easier for you to just have a series of text files in a folder on your desktop that you just go into and change the text. The only thing I will say about that is to make sure that you know how many characters you can put in maximum across on each line, otherwise you'll end up with text coming off the sides. So that is a way of doing it. I have done that before, But I don't mind so much at the moment because OBS is pretty solid. I've had situations where OBS was really fragile and kept on falling over, but as they push more updates, it seems to be a lot more reliable. Alright, so I'm going to lock that into place. What is that? Oh, that's the second, that's another topic, so I'm going to get rid of that because obviously I'm changing this style now. They were just additional ones that I put in there so that I can record videos quick. The author one, I think I'm going to, what do I want to do here? I think I'm just going to put that, just gonna put that somewhere. I don't know where. I don't even know if I want it on there anymore. Let's get rid of it for 16:9. We don't need it. So I have all this additional space now on the right hand side. I could, if I wanted to, take this background and change that. Now you'll notice at the minute that it's just this size. I could actually take that out completely and just take it to the whole of the desktop like that and make this bigger in some way. Maybe I can change it around a little bit and have the cam and the mic. I could move this. You see how big this cam and mic is? All it's doing is taking a copy of this, right? So I can change that as much as I want. Let me go back into Steam. I'm going to shrink down. I'm going to grab this, the edging of it, because I want to actually zoom up what it's capturing. Oh, see, I've grabbed the background. There's a perfect example of why you lock layers. Right, so let's lock it so we don't accidentally grab that again. Because if you're clicking off the box, it automatically selects that. So now I want to do this. And I could probably like put that here instead. Don't know. Just playing around with the. Most of the looks are the same, but if I'm gonna go start using 16:9, I might go about it a different way. And I kind of dig the idea of like having something look a little bit different. I think it might be too big though. Don't want to be this like big voice, but I kind of dig that. And maybe here I have like either the monitor or whatever. I kind of dig it. And also it's a little bit different from a Steam Glider one, so it kind of mixes up the content that you're just not seeing some kind of templates system over and over every day if you're putting stuff out every single day. I'm going to step through and do all the rest of these, and then I'll come back to you once I've finished them and show you what I've got. I spent another, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes tinkering around with the rest, and I came up with completely different stuff for the other ones. Mainly to keep it a bit fresh, but also for the styling. I might change the layout of the styling where I want things to be. For instance, on this one, I'm going to just do campaigns for Review Hunt and put the desktop here to actually show the campaign, and then put the app title at the bottom because these campaigns move so quickly. Vim, I'm going to do a little bit differently to really promote the fact that Steam is powering or incentivizing people to use Vim on the Steam blockchain for live streaming, a bit like Twitch, Mixer, and YouTube. And then Steam Monsters, I just completely went with a different angle with it. I'm not sure how I'm gonna show the screen for Steam Monsters. Maybe I'll just cut away to another screen, but I kind of like the idea of changing these things up. So I've pretty much done everything that I need to do apart from the intros. All I need to do is change the intros and outros, and I've got everything that I needed for a 16:9 perspective for anything really. I can put these onto YouTube if I wanted to, or use these as a live stream. I could literally fire up and just jump straight into a live stream when a brand new feature gets released. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight into taking it from a 4:3 perspective to a 16:9 perspective.